All right, so like before, we're gonna go and do the video of the water quality sampling. And then after that, I'm gonna introduce you to a new topic, which you can explore after we get off Zoom. And then we'll open up some questions in the meantime. So first things first, let me go ahead and show you the water sampling. Hello everyone. So this week we've moved to a new location, and again, there'll be hints throughout this video, but where we're at now is down the river, slightly more, where two rivers have joined together. And as you look around, you'll notice that the water isn't as clear as it once was. That's because the sources of these two rivers are vastly different from one another. The river we started on comes from a spring, but the other river comes from Central Florida at a lake. So with this other river coming from a lake, it had a lot longer time to get stained, and so you'll notice this water is much more murky and dark than the spring-fed river was. With this darker water, it also provides more hiding places than even the river had for these fish. This darker water can allow for gators to hide, it can allow bass to travel from one part of the river to other parts of the river because they won't be seen as easily as they could previously with the clear water. So you'll notice this bridge behind me. This cuts from where we are in Marion County to the coast. Even just sticking my pole in the water, I can notice this water is much more murky than it was before. So now that we're further from the spring head where it was colder, the water's had more time to go and increase in temperature. So this water sample is about 25 degrees Celsius. And also, since this river is mixed in with the other river that I mentioned before, it's had more stain to it. So as you can see, this water is a little more yellow, again, kind of like a tea. All right. So I had a lot of fun filming that one. It was a really cool place to visit. Now, I know you have your worksheet in front of you, or you may have your worksheet in front of you. I didn't go and include all of the information in the video. So let me go ahead and fill out the rest of that information for you. So temperature, I believe I mentioned, was 25. pH, I showed you a picture of the pH tester, and I'd consider that slightly basic. So that was a slightly more green color, which if you compare it to that sheet, it was more towards 8 than it was 7, so I'd say slightly basic. As for dissolved oxygen, I would say lots of oxygen. This is the most oxygen I've seen. Turbidity, I'd say partially cloudy. You can see it was a lot more yellow and had more particles in the way. So I'd say partially cloudy and still no salinity. If you don't have a worksheet currently, then I will either email it to you or we'll get it to you another way so that you're able to print it out or write on it in some way. All right, so the next thing I want to go and show you was the activity for after we get off Zoom. So let me go ahead and introduce that to you now. All right, hopefully you can see all of the slides now. I think you can. All right, so the whole lesson is about hand lenses. So you may have seen like a lens kind of like this to go on like a microscope or like a magnifying glass. So we're talking about the history of these and how they're used today, especially for what I work with, animals and plants. So the first ever magnifying glass was back during the Egyptians, almost 3,000 years ago, where they would get crystals and they'd be shaped in a certain way. This is an example of one here, where it would magnify light. And they'd use this to start fires, which is kind of odd, at least you would think, where you're magnifying, usually whenever you magnify something, you're looking at something in a microscope. But they were doing it to start fires, because magnification can work both objects, but it's also just bending light is how that works. So you can start a fire, which is still used to this day. Now, a proper magnifying glass didn't come out until Roger Bacon. So Roger Bacon was a professor back in 1250, so almost 1,000 years ago. And he was researching magnification using glass. Now, he didn't know how this would work, but he knew that the Egyptians had an idea for how it had worked back during their time. And so what he did is he worked with other scientists and compared a magnifying glass to the human eye, to where he eventually had made a glass that magnified light the same way that our eyes magnified light, which kind of works by having a bent lens. So I don't know if you can see this or not. It may be too small, but this lens, here we go. It's kind of shaped in a weird shape. Let me go and take my screen sharing off. You can see how it's not flat. It actually has like a curve to it. And that's because light is coming into this and it's bending. So I don't know if you can see, it bends that light. Now up close, it makes that object really, really big. But further away, it turns that object upside down, which I think is sort of interesting. But what he would do is he'd have objects very close to it, so it zooms in on that object. So whenever you go like this, you're seeing a lot closer up than your human eye can see. That's why in your notebook, you'll go and see it says naked eye or hand lens. Because here you can see my eye a certain distance. There, you can see it a lot better. Anyway, back to the slides. So he had used it as a professor just to see how they had worked on it 1,000 years before his time, or 2,000 years before his time. Now, this type of information, these types of lenses are used in microscopes, prescription glasses, or even telescopes. So it's kind of weird to try to compare it to a telescope, right? Because like with a magnifying glass, I'm looking at something very, very small. Well, the telescope, what I'm doing is I'm looking at something that is perceived to be very small. I'm thinking it's really small, but in reality, it's a really, really big object really far away. And so all it's doing is bending that light to make it look closer. It's the same thing with microscope. So here's a microscope, and it does the same thing. It uses these lenses right here to magnify light. Now, how I use them is both as a magnifying glass, like you see in the picture there, or this weird looking thing on the left side here. So that was the end of my slides I wanted to show you, but I'm gonna go and show you how they look like in real life. So here's like a pocket magnifying glass. So I keep this in my pocket and it closes up nice and tight so nothing scratches it. But all I do is bloop. And just like you're doing with the other magnifying glass, it zooms in on objects. Aside from this, you have normal magnifying glasses like this. Sometimes you'll get little bug packages like, oh, turn my background off so you can actually see what I'm doing. Here we go. So you get little patches like this that have ladybugs in them. So you can see in the bottom, there's ladybugs. But if you look into it, I guess you can't really see, but there's a lens right here that does that same magnification thing. So anyway, it works the same way. Now, with a microscope like this, the way it works is this bottom piece right here has a bunch of light that'll pump through it. So it's plugged in electronically, and a bunch of light gets pumped in right here to amplify what you see on your screen here. So you'll put your little tray here, and you'll look through this eyepiece, and you'll see whatever is on the slide here very close up. Now, what if you don't have electricity where you're at? Well, that's where this comes in. So what this one does is it has that same eyepiece up here for you to look at, and it has this same tray right here, but instead of having a light underneath, it has this little tube right here, like a crystal-like tube, where light can come in, and it goes underneath. You can see how it goes underneath to the table right here. So whenever I look in the eyepiece, I'm getting light from the outside world. So you can use something like this called a field microscope to zoom in on things while you're out in the woods. Now, as for my daily life, the only one that I really use is this one. Because if I have a leaf right here, and I want to look at the veins out of it, or I want to look at the side of it, I can go just like this and get a decent look at what actually is going on with the leaf. But these are super, super cheap. You can get them on Amazon for a couple of dollars. All right, that's all I want to go and share with you today. If you have any questions, now's the time to ask. Either write them in chat, or maybe you can unmute yourself, however you like to do it. So let's see what I can find. Let me get one of these. Oh, actually, you reminded me. Thank you. So since I work with animals, why I would use this is to look at either bugs or plants. And so I have a full collection of bugs. So let me go and pull one out for you. All right, so here's a little grasshopper. So for me, all right, let's see if I can do this for you. It's probably, there you go. So you can see, now you can see the antenna of the grasshopper. I want to go and show you his feet. So now you can see all those little hairs on his feet. I think it's pretty neat, right? This is very hard to do backwards. His little arm. How about his eye? Let's see if I can get his eye for you. I think that's pretty neat. Let's see if I have anything else to go and show you. How about a dragonfly? This is very hard to do backwards. You can see the mouth of the dragon, sorry, you can see the back of the dragonfly there. Where are you at? And I can see all those little veins kind of things in his wing. Let me flip this around. Let's see. My paper's in the way, but you can see his eye there. Bottom of his wing, his body. I know I have a really cool one in here somewhere. Maybe a beetle. I want to go and show you this one as well. It's another grasshopper, but this one's a very colorful guy. Again, you can see all those huge spurs on the back of his legs. See if I can make it bigger for you. But again, you can pick up one of these little things for like $2 on Amazon. They're super, super cheap, and I think they're very useful. Yeah, so there's a few things I can show you. Yeah, anyway, that's what he looks like fully. Well, now I just want to keep showing off bugs. So you have a velvet ant right here. You can see his entire body is covered in these velvety hairs. See if I can make it. Anyway, yeah. Where did you come from? You're right here. Okay, so how did I acquire all of these bugs? So there was a class in college where we were given a big bug net and you would just catch as many bugs as you could. You had to pin them on this board here. So there you go. Pin them on this bug here. Mine's a little beat up. It's a couple years old now, and I use it for teaching pretty often. But you can make them very, very pretty. As you can see, I have some butterflies in there too. But they're from a class where I had to collect them. Yeah. Anything else? Either write them in chat or you can unmute yourself. Either way. Something really cool I thought about showing you is this one. It's another one of those hand lenses. Let's see if I can. You can like look at your own fingers under the microscope too. I'm not very good at doing it to a camera, but if you do it to yourself, I think it's very cool. So the next part of this I wanted to go and show you before I answer some more questions is how you can build one. So even if you don't want to go and buy one, here's how you can build one in your class right now. So here's some other ways of showing. I want to go and show you how I can use them in the field. So we're looking for bugs, looking at fossils. But here's how you can build one. So if you get a 2-liter bottle and you color a little circle where it gets curvy, so like how the 2-liter has a little bit curved to the top, make a little circle right there, cut it out with some scissors, and then if you fill it up with a little bit of water, it makes a hand lens, which I think is pretty cool, right? So if you want to go and try it out, or you can build one, excuse me. First, go and try it out on my book and look at or like on the handout and see how it inverts letters maybe, or how it zooms in on letters. And then on Thursday, possibly, we will take it outside and use it on leaves or on bugs, or use it on your fingers like I did. Anyway, so it's very easy to build. So just cut a circle on a 2-liter bottle, fill it with a little bit of water, and it'll zoom in, magnify things for you. All right, you have any other questions? Okay, you don't have any other questions? All right, well, I hope you have a great rest of your day. If you have any questions on how to go and build that hand lens, just send me a message and I'll help you. And on Thursday, we'll take it outside and we'll possibly have another guest for you to talk to. All right, bye.